Babe. Babe is our most recent kind of big deal rescue. So you heard there was a hurricane down in Texas a few weeks ago, right? And so, you know, when they start talking about the hurricane, all of a sudden I feel this feeling welling up in me, like I should go. I don't know why. I never run toward hurricanes, but I just had this feeling, maybe I should go. I push it off, and the hurricane hits. Then I can't push it off anymore. So I grab the truck and the trailer, and I start heading down because I'm handy. Maybe it's my ego who drives me. I don't know what it is, but I'm handy. I can run equipment, I can drive anything, I can fix anything. I just feel like I can be handy. I just feel drawn. So I go. I drive down to Texas, 1,670 miles, and I get down there, and I am largely ineffective, right? I'm heading towards Houston, because that's where everybody said stuff was going on. But in my mind, I'm thinking, Houston, the heck is gonna, there are no farm animals in Houston. So I'm about 10 or 20 miles out of Houston. I get a call from these people talking to me that had heard there was stuff going on in Beaumont, Texas, and that the whole town was wasted. It was underground, and there are farm animals. So I head to Beaumont. In the morning, I head there, and it is like a ghost town getting there. I'm going through these back roads, right? I got directions from people who I'm hearing truck drivers on the CB, and they know the ways, but it's not the normal ways. It's the only roads that are above ground, you know, above water. So I'm going through all these fields, and there's military vehicle after military vehicle. It looks like something out of a movie, you know? There's no cars, no trucks, no one, just military vehicles. And me. So I drive, and I get there, and I find this place. It's called Ford Park, and it is these two huge pavilions, huge, that they have like state fair under it and stuff like that, and it is incredible. Already they have this like triage set up for horses and for dogs and cats. It was really cool, and I'll tell you, if you start to lose faith in humanity, I was there. There was no big organizations there. It was all volunteers, all people, and you just watch trucks and trailers of people from their own pocket buying water, fresh water, and feed for these animals and stuff, and just non-stop. It was unbelievable how much stuff that was coming in and how hard these people were trying. I remember there was a woman there who had been the first person on the ground there wanting to help cats and dogs, and the sheriff said, "Do you have shelter experience?" She goes, "Well, yeah, a little bit." And he goes, "You're in charge." This woman worked so hard, until a big organization came in and told her, "You can clean crates if you want." But still, in the beginning, it was beautiful to see these people trying. So I get there, and there were a few farm animals. There's some pigs, there's some goats, and nobody knew what to do with them, and no one honestly cared. And it was odd, you know, so I'm trying to find out how I'm going to help. How am I going to help? Not taking into consideration initially the idea that we're here, we're in Texas. All of these animals are objectified, right? They're all possessions. That's what they are. Nobody sees them like I see them. Cats and dogs are different. The cats and dogs people, they think I'm crazy. They're like, "Dude, we feed your animals to these animals." So I'm alone. I felt alone. So I was able to help by moving horses, right? I'm not a horse guy, but my trailer is handy in my truck, so we move horses to high ground, right? And the horses are going to be safe. I don't mind helping the horses because I know the horses are safe. I'm in this high-level meeting with all these animal people, and everyone's talking about all these wonderful things they're thinking they're going to do, and they're looking at me, and they're like, "Mike, what's the matter?" I don't do this. That's what's the matter. I don't know what's going on here, but I don't do this. I don't delay the death of animals by a week. That's not what I do. I rescue animals. And they're like, "We're not going to euthanize any of these animals." And I said, "Well, what do you think is going to happen to those pigs right there? What do you think is going to happen to the cows? What's going to happen?" Most of them didn't get it. But one guy in the front seat is like, "Oh, I see what you're saying." I said, "I'm not used to working in a group like this. You guys, no offense, you seem like nice people, but I gotta go. I gotta try and rescue animals, man." And so a couple of them wanted to help. And so we just let out. And we started taking calls on this Zello app that turns your phone into like a two-way radio. They made a big channel, and anywhere there was a rescue in need, they would say what it was. There's dogs over this house, this address, this, that, and people would try, they would wade out in the water, or you'd go to boat, and you'd get out there, and you'd get these animals, and I'm waiting for farm animal calls, and I get one. There's this guy who's bringing in 2 lame horses that can't get up, and we're going to meet him at this gas station, and all this, and the closest person to be there, they said it would be an hour and a half away, and I'm like, I could be there in 10 minutes. So we drive over there. The guy never showed up. He never got the horses in the trailer, and 2 women went directly where they were, and they got those animals. They helped. So I'm sitting in a gas station, and all of a sudden somebody bangs on the window, and it's like, hey, what do you got in that trailer? Nobody right now. I'm missing a horse, he says. I'm missing a paint horse. I said, well, all the animals, as far as I know from this county, are going to the Ford Pavilion. You would check there. You know anything about cows? Me? Why? I'm missing 80 cows. 80. He's a rancher. I'm torn already. I figure minimally I'll go there and I will mark the location and I will map the route so I know how to get there dry roads, and if it's something that I feel I shouldn't be doing, I will tell other people how to get there and where it is. So I go, and a couple of dog and cat people go with me, and they're nice, and we go there, and we back down the street. I back down the street, and you can see there's boats, and the road just goes down, and now we're in the water, and I back up in, and the farmer's talking to me, and he's saying how they're off in the weeds, in the trees in the back, and they had 2 helicopters trying to herd them earlier that day, but it didn't work. And I said, well, you ever feed your animals from that truck? He said, yeah, all the time. They know your truck? Yeah. I said, why don't you just drive out in the water, as deep as you can go, and do whatever you do to call the animals. You know, if it was me, I'd just be like, hey, and they come. But he starts out, and he goes, good idea, and he drives out there and starts beating the horn. It's got half a ton of feed in the back of the truck. So he starts yelling, he starts calling. Meanwhile, there's a boat there that's broken. I help the guy get the boat going. One of the dog and cat guys helps me. We get that boat going, and the dog and cat guys and everybody jumps on the boat, and they go trolling for animals. Mostly, I think, for video. I hate to say it, but true. So I stay there with the guy, and he goes, and he wades out into the water, and you can hear the cows. From him beating the horn and yelling, you can hear them moving. There's a couple cows out there. And meanwhile, there's cows floating, dead cows, his Black Angus cows. He wades out there, and he's got food with him. Sure enough, he comes back, and there's this bull following him in the water. He comes back, and I throw him a halter, and he puts the halter around the bull. He comes closer, comes around the side, and now we get up, and my trailer is right on the edge of the water. I'm in the water. I pull up, so I'm just out of it. And we get the bull, and he's a 2-year-old bull. He's about this big. He looks very thin. He looks very tired. And we lead him to the back of the trailer, and he puts his legs to the trailer, and he just lays down. He has nothing left. Then he just falls over on his side, and his eyes roll back, and oh my God, I think he's going to die right then. When a ruminant lays flat on their side like that, especially from exhaustion or something, it's bad news. You know, a ruminant can't lay on their side. They get bloat. They have to be sternal up on their chest. So immediately I jump out. I'm trying to wrestle him up, and I get him up on his side, and the farmer says, I'm going to go get the hot shot. The hot shot is an electric cattle prod. And there's someone there. That's where it was. That's the truck. He was back in the woods back there. And there's some more. That's some others that we got. I'll tell you about them in a second. So he says, I'm going to get the hot shot. I said, no, you're not. And he says, okay, what am I going to do? I said, aren't you going to try and get some more? He says, yeah. I said, then I'll stay with him. You leave him with me. So I'm sitting there, and I'm talking to him, and this young guy comes over, from a city guy from Long Island. Was actually there helping with the cats and dogs. He comes over, and he's watching me, and I'm patting this bull, and he's got his head on my lap, and I'm patting him, and I'm talking to him. And he goes, man, I didn't know they were that way. I said, what do you mean? He goes, look at him. He's he's so nice. He doesn't feel well. He might not be so nice, but he's definitely got emotion. He definitely, I mean, you see it. He goes, I never saw one act like that. I never saw that they had something in there. It was pretty cool, right? So the farmer's gone for a while, and then he comes back, and we get the bull up. He gets up, and he takes the reins. He takes the halter, and he walks him. Now I have a ramp on the side of my trailer, and the side of the trailer is towards the edge of the road, and he doesn't realize it. He swings the bull too far. He steps off into a drainage ditch, and it's about this deep. He just drops in, and he gives up immediately. As soon as he feels the water on him, he's had enough. He can't go on. He's got nothing in him. He just falls down the water. He goes right under. His head goes under, and his eyes roll back like this, and he bobs up and down a couple times, and he just starts listing over on his side like this. And the farmer gives him a big pull, and he hits the ground, and he can't do anything, and he just gives up, and he sits on the ground, and he's almost crying, the guy, because he's just exhausted. He can't go, and he says, I can't do it. I can't. I don't have anything left. So I grab the halter, and I'm pulling as hard as I can, and I can get his head. I'm holding his head up. I got his head on land, and the young guy is over there that was just sitting with me, and I'm like, get over here, get over here. So he comes over, I give him the rope, and he pulls, and I grab the bull by the front legs, and I'm pulling, and then I start yelling at the farmer, pull. So we give it 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 times, and we get him about 3/4 of the way up on the land. And his eyes are still rolled back, and I wrestle him up on his chest again, sternal. And so I figure I'm gonna go get some more feed. He seemed to like the feed. Maybe I can get him out of the water with the feed, right? So I go to get it. The farmer pulls the hot shot out and zaps him. As soon as he zaps him with it, he jumps up like a maniac, runs into my truck and dents it. I figure we might as well take advantage of this, and we get him in the trailer. He gets up in the trailer. No sooner he gets in it, he lays down. He's done. Falls over on his side again. We get him back up, and I stay with him. And the farmer goes back out with his truck and with the feed. Within 15 minutes, he comes back with 11 more. 11 more. And they were in a little better shape than him. And so, this is them. So now we're going to herd them down the street to a higher ground, to another pasture, his friend's pasture. And the whole time, I'm torn now. Because why am I helping this guy? I don't want to help this guy. But I honestly, in my head, I can remember thinking, they're probably better off if I just let them drown. But faced with standing there and watching them drown is a different thing. It's a different thing. So the cat and dog people are on the side, wrangling them a little, and I'm keeping them in with my trailer, and we herd them down the road, and we get them down to another place, and we get them in the stall, and so in a field. And so the bull's still in the back, and I said to the farmer, you know, he needs a doctor, he needs a vet. And he goes, oh yeah, I know. He says, let's just open the door, we'll see if he gets up. And we opened the door, and he was not getting up. He said, maybe we'll take him back to the Ford Pavilion. There's vets there. I said, yeah, good idea. So it's 9 o'clock at night now. We've been at this all day. So we drive him back to the Ford Pavilion, and the vets were all gone. So he goes out looking for a vet, and I climb in the back, and I'm sitting back there with the bull, and I gotta be honest with you, I'm exhausted. I had driven 1,700 miles 2 days before. I've probably only slept an hour and a half or so in the truck, and I am mentally, emotionally drained. And this bull is laying here, and there's nothing I can do for him. Nothing. And I'm sitting on the floor with him on my trailer, and he's got his head on my lap, and I'm talking to him, and I'm apologizing to him. I'm saying, I'm sorry, I don't know what to do. I'm sorry, I suck. Because that's what it feels like, right? I don't know what to do for him. I'm upset. All of a sudden I hear another guy from New Jersey. How do you know? He was loud and annoying. And he's going, who's got the New Jersey license plate? Who is it? He comes around, it's him and his wife, and they used to live in New Jersey. Now they've been in Texas for 8 years or something. And we start talking, and he says, well, Doc Schneider is down the road, you know. He just left here like 15 minutes ago. Maybe you can get him. So I call the farmer over, and I say, you know, tell him. He goes, Doc Schneider's the best. He goes, that's what I was trying to find. So we call him, and he's like 15 minutes away to his place. He says he'll be there in 45 minutes. So now it's almost 9:30. The farmer says, will you bring him for me? Of course I'll bring him for you. What am I going to do? The guy from New Jersey goes, you owe him, man. The farmer goes, I know I do. He goes, you think I don't know? Of course I know. He goes, guys, help me so much. He lost 68 cattle in the flood, 68. So, you know, dollars and cents, $100,000 he lost that day. Now, a couple times I had approached the idea of him giving me that animal. And I'll tell you straight out, and you'd have to try and approach it, you know, when I had him on the ground, when I got him in the trailer, maybe 3 times I'd approach it, and you have to be gentle. Listen, you know, I have a couple 100 acres. Maybe you want to let him live. And I'm going to tell you something straight out. This man was not a bad man. He was not stupid. He was a hard-working guy. He was a regular guy. And when I said those words to him, maybe you could let him live, 3 different times, he looked at me, I swear on my life, as if it were, I know the words you're saying individually, but when you string them all together like that, they don't mean anything. You know, as if I had said to him, you know what makes a great pool float? A hunk of concrete. That's exactly how he looked at me, like that. Like, what the heck are you talking about? So he's in the back of the truck and in the trailer, and we're about to go to the vet, and he's talking about owing me, and he goes, I got a few $100s in my pocket. Whatever I got is yours. And I said, and I go, are you talking to me? I thought he was talking to the other guy. Are you talking to me? He goes, yeah. I go, I'm not taking any money. I came here to help animals. That's why I came. He goes, dude, you drove all the way from New Jersey in that big rig. I can't imagine how much it costs just in fuel. Just take the money. I said, I'm not taking any money. Then I thought, how much is a bull like this worth? Dollars and cents. Between you and I. And he goes, oh, I mean, he's skinny right now. He's dehydrated, but 1,500 or better, easy. But you can have him. And again, same thing as with Julie. I'm standing there like a dope, waiting for him to say the rest. It's worth 1,500, but you can have him for 1,000, or you can have him for 500, or which would immediately be an ethical dilemma for me because I don't pay money, but I want this animal to live. But he doesn't say anything else, and I'm like, I can have him. And he says to me something that almost broke me down right then. He goes, man, I saw how much you love him. You can have him. And I couldn't believe it. I swear, it was like a miracle. And I'm standing there like dumbfounded. Like, I really am. I hugged the guy. I was dumbfounded. I was like, where did that come from, you know? So I took him to the vet, and we got there at 10:30, and there he is in the squeeze chute getting checked out. And there he is in the tub getting looked over. There he is on the trailer back home. And he was doing okay. He was dehydrated. He needed to stay for a few days while I was trying to rescue other animals to get what's called a CVI, so I could legally transport him back to New Jersey from Texas. A health check. And there he is, and there he is again. And there he is. He's skinny, you can see. You see his legs. He's got something called rain rot. So he's at Cornell right now. From standing in the rain all that time, his legs began to, the skin started to split. And so he'll be fine, but he's at Cornell now, right? So, okay. So that's Babe. The guy gave him to me, a rancher. The guy who lost $100,000 that day gave me that animal. When he didn't have to. There was no reason to. I didn't ask him at that time to give him to me, and we were just talking. He just decided to let that animal go. Why? Because in his own words, I saw you love him. All right? Fletcher. This is Fletcher. Fletcher at that time was a 4-month-old golden retriever, right? So he's a rescue. I rescued him from a pet shop, right? For $1,000. Right? Is that a rescue? No, that's not a rescue, right? Of course I didn't pay $1,000 for Fletcher. Of course I didn't. Of course he's a rescue, right? Of course he is. He's beautiful, right? He's a total goofball. This is here to illustrate something, right? It's Jimmy. He's my boss. This is here to illustrate something. Fletcher is here to illustrate the idea that we don't buy animals, right? And so this is a trend now. This is a trend in rescuing. Right? People want to buy animals. It's a dangerous territory, right? Buying animals. I don't know why it is that we know we don't buy cats and dogs, right? We don't want to buy cats and dogs from puppy mills or breeders to, the idea is we're supporting them, right? If we're animal rights activists, we don't want to support the industry that is doing things that we wish they weren't doing, right? That's the idea, okay? So I'm not here to vilify anybody who's done anything. The point is, why do we get it with these animals, but we don't get it with farm animals, right? Why are we gonna go to, you're not gonna go somewhere and pay $1,000 for a pit bull when you can go to any shelter there is and get 50 of them, right? Why are you gonna do that for a bull? Or a goat, or a sheep, or a pig, right? People are buying, sanctuaries are buying animals. I wanna tell you something, I wanna explain something to you. So, if you're a good-hearted person, you have good intentions, you see stories like my stories. Look at this dope, he talks people out of animals. I'm gonna do that. You go to a slaughterhouse, you go to a live market, you go to one of these places with the intention of talking them into giving you an animal. All good intentions. And you try your best. And while you're standing there, there's an animal that you lock eyes with. And in the end, you're unable to get them to give you that animal. The guy says to you, for $100, you could save that animal's life. You'd save that goat for $100. You have the $100, you buy that animal. I'm not mad at you for it. I don't think it's horrible. I don't think you're a bad person. But I do think you just learned a lesson. You're not the person who does that. Don't go back to those places. Don't give money to those people again. That's who you are. Find a different niche. That's your niche, right? But instead, people are now buying animals left and right. It's a thing. We buy animals left and right so they can call them rescues. Why? It's the strangest thing. Recently I was called, what kind of person? A psychopath leaves animals behind, because I go to the stockyard and I get them, I talk them into giving me little Joe, and I leave, but I leave other ones behind. And if I couldn't get any that day, I'm telling you straight out, I didn't have enough money on me to buy an animal on purpose, because I have a soft heart. I leave my wallet. I can't buy an animal, just in case I'm tempted. Somebody called me a psychopath because I could look them in the eye and leave them behind. Let me give you a hint. Unless you go there and buy every single animal that's there, you're leaving them behind. And not only are you leaving them behind, but you're commodifying them immediately. There's a price on that animal's head that you think that animal is worth buying for, right? And not only that, why are you buying that one animal? Because he's cute? Because he's hurt? Because he's this? Because he's that? You're choosing one above the others. You know which ones I take? Whichever one they'll give me. I don't choose and then leave the others behind. There's a difference there. When you choose one, you're commodifying that animal. Look how cute he is. It's not what we do, right? We don't want to do that. And so you hear these stories, when these stories are what they are. If you came to my sanctuary, you'd spend hours listening to me blab on as we walked around and met animals. 2.5, 3 hours. We meet all these animals, and the whole conversation, the whole time, is based on the concept of not commodifying animals, because that is how we are going to stop this, right? No matter what I say, no matter how good a rescuer I am, and I'm a pretty good one, I am not going to, and you're not going to, rescue us out of this situation. We simply cannot rescue all these animals, right? We can't. So how do we change this? By teaching people, by showing people what their money is paying for, right? By changing minds and perceptions about the way the animals are, by stopping commodifying animals. So if at the end of the story we do all this, and I tell you about Jimmy right here, who's, like I said, my boss, my best friend in the world, and I tell you, yeah, Jimmy, all these animals, Jimmy is an individual. He's someone, he's not something. He's not a piece of furniture to be bought and sold. He's someone to be loved and respected and to live his life for his own purposes, right? By the way, I paid $1,000 for him. How does it fit? How does it end? It doesn't. You can't do that. So we have that sometimes. I'm going to tell you straight out. So Freddie, you saw Freddie, he was running through the streets in Queens. He was running through the streets, and there were so many people in the city, and no one has land in the city, and no one has trailers, and they don't have what I have to do what I do. But what do they have? They have big hearts, and they have a credit card. So when I was trying to rescue him, well-intended people are bidding him up. He was to the slaughterhouse. I think they told me he was worth between $1,500 and $1,700 to them. To me, he was priceless. But to other activists, he was worth up to $4,500. They had bid him up to $4,500. So they're going to give 3 times his worth to these people who can then take that 3 times as much money and buy 3 more animals instead of just the 1, right? You know how hard it is to try and get an animal for free when someone has bid him up to 3 times what he's worth? Thank God I'm a good liar. And that's how we got him. So the point of the story is to show you, and we have, right now I have 140 animals at our farm, and there are sanctuaries all the way up and down the East Coast, and as far as Texas, that have animals that I've rescued, and none of them have been paid for, right? So I'm here to tell you, we can get animals, right? If you have land, if you know someone who wants to rescue animals and is a good foster, contact a good sanctuary. They have animals, they have networks, they need adopters. Don't go buy animals, please. Call me and I'll get you one. I'll get you 100. You buy 100 acres, I'll fill it up for you, I promise. I think that's it. Unless you have any questions, anything you'd like to say, I'll make up some stories or answers for you. Nothing. No one wants to ask anything? That was easy. Thank you guys. Thanks, Mary.
It was awesome.